I'm super excited to talk about this one too. Hasbro has cut its SKU count in half as its sales fell 23% in Q4. According to Retail Dive, Hasbro Inc.'s revenue fell 23% to about $1.29 billion during the fourth quarter. And Hasbro also posted an operating loss of another $1.2 billion. Ouch. Hasbro's full year outlook anticipates revenue for its consumer products segment will also be down 7 to 12% this year. Oh boy. And the company also raised its cost cutting target to $750 million from its previous goal of $350 million to $400 million by the end of 2025. But that's good for culture. In addition, another part of the company's long term revamp included eliminating half of its SKUs. Hasbro said these SKUs represented just 2% of revenue and were duplicative and unprofitable for the company and for retailers. Joanna, we're going to go back to you on this one. 50%, I got to tell you, that seems pretty darn drastic. What do you think the intent is here?
Yeah, 50% sounds drastic, but it sounds like it's a right move likely for them, a painful but necessary, a little bit of just take the medicine, if you will. I think, what is the intent? It's very clear. It's focus. It's focus, it's simplification, it's streamlining, so that they can focus assets, time, operations towards things that are driving profit. This is not something strange for us. We have a lot of clients who are grappling with sort of this hangover
Yeah.
of too many SKUs after facing sort of several years of the philosophy of more is more. More is more is more, in an attempt to return to sort of pre-COVID recovery, and then they're left with highly unproductive SKUs that they need to cull. Now, good retail hygiene says I'm monitoring my SKUs,
Right.
I'm monitoring the profitability of them, and I am cleaning that up, because you think about all of the capital that every SKU takes, even once you have it to market. But then I'm managing the SKU, I'm managing the pricing, I'm possibly promoting it, and so they are expensive to maintain. So it feels like they took a real discerning look at their situation. They said, "I'm this is not where I'm going to make money. And so let me go ahead and clean up so I can focus on areas where I can," because they did have a few bright spots in their portfolio. In things like winners, like in digital games with Monopoly
Right.
Go, which I think was, right around 800 million in revenue in the fourth quarter. So they have some bright spots. They just need to refocus. And it seems like they're trying to do that.
But with 50%, let me push you on this a little bit. Did they take a surgical look or did they just basically like scorch earth it and be like, we're starting over? Like it's more kind of the latter, right? Like when you're that drastic.
I don't know that that's a safe assumption. I think
Okay.
you can be very discerning about it. If they did more of a we're lopping off 20% and it sounds like the 80-20, I would
Mhm.
actually be more inclined
That's
to agree with
interesting.
you that it was just kind of a lop. But if
Interesting.
they've really gone through, and the fact that they used in their press release the terminology that these are duplicative or redundant, tells me that they looked not just at the revenue they're generating and the profit loss, but that
Mhm.
they believe they have something else in the portfolio that people are buying. And so that tells me a little that they may have been more surgical than not. 50 just sounds so drastic because it sounds like they haven't done this in a long time.
Yeah, right. I know it's kind of crazy. I've never, I can't remember seeing a SKU
Mhm.
reduction this large. But Anne, what do you think?
I mean, it seems to me like a smart way to clean house
You
and
think
look at
so?
what the strategy is going to be going forward. I'm over my skis in terms of like what the SKU cut should be. But from a marketer's perspective, I think when you talk about we're going back to the Walmart creating content, I think as a marketer for and a content creator for Hasbro, cutting these SKUs likely gives me more resources to apply to content partnerships and digital partnerships like Joanna alluded to really bolster this brand and get people involved in purchasing those SKUs that are paying off for them. So that's where my head goes is like, yeah, you gotta get out of just repeat, rinse and repeat with the same SKUs over and over again, and start to think about how you extend this beyond just the toy that I'm purchasing on the shelf.
That's an interesting argument. I mean, it actually makes you wonder, like, what is the future of toys? Like, is the future of toys in more digital than actually hard produced SKUs too? Is that part of the story here too, as well? Cassie, what do you think? Do you have another angle to take this discussion in?
Yeah, well, I think there was something that that half of those SKUs actually are only 2% of revenue. So
Yeah,
when I saw that, I wasn't sure if I should think this is a consultant's dream or a consultant's nightmare, because there's
right.
a lot of things that can be fixed there. And a lot of quick wins, which is also always good when we see stuff like that. So I think because they've increased their cost cutting targets, I know pretty significantly, maybe doubling it, I think, for their by end of 2025, this will really help drive that. And so at least they can do this, refocus on their core. And I think, by coming back to that, will hopefully, realign themselves and get back on track.
Okay, wow. I'm going to go in the opposite direction here. I think this is the canary in the coal mine. I think this is a signal to me that the leadership team, which hasn't been at the helm that long, the new CEO came in February of 2022. I think he isn't long for the road. I mean, I think 50% is just so drastic. It's why you never hear that. And the only reason I think you would do it, honestly, is because you want to wipe the slate clean and start over. And it also kind of feels like an arrogant statement to make from a CEO as well. Like, hey, we just clean house 50%. They only do 2% of the business. Like, let's just.
I love the voice that you're using for their CEO.
Yeah.
Very
well, I know,
Jersey
but that's just like that's how
Hey,
this stuff gets done, right? And so. And his experience is weird too. His experience is like he was president of the Wizards of Coast and a longtime Microsoft employee. So it's hard for me to believe that a brand like Hasbro, with all the properties it has, that they got things so far out of whack so quickly. And so I just think there's going to be more fallout to come from this. But I don't know. That's my prediction. Any last thoughts on that? Tell me why I'm right or wrong.
No, I just want to.
No. All right, let's move on, Ann.